Hi guys, Miller here, and this is my response to the I'm a Wargamer challenge. Cheers for the nomination, Martin, over on Seventh Son. I was kind of dreading anybody doing it, but because obviously you've now got to see me face, so more for you. So we'll start at the beginning. First question was, what got me into the hobby? Well, when I first started, I've always been into toy soldiers, same as most blokes or boys have when they were young, and used to get Airfix kits and things like that. And it wasn't until a jumble sale or a car boot or something like that, I picked up a copy of what I just thought was a board game, and it turned out to be a copy of Hero Quest. Being a kid, I didn't really think much of it. I thought the figures were cool. All the playing cards and stuff and the board, I think, went in the bin, which I know probably think is sacrilege. But I kept the pieces and painted them up, and I still have some of them, even now. Obviously, you can see that Hero Quest, I think, was a predecessor of Games Workshop's Warhammer Fantasy, and they're all the same sort of figures. These are now actually live with part of my 4-year-old's toy collection now, so these are just some of the ones I managed to dig out that were still in one piece. But I started with Hero Quest, and again, wasn't playing the game, was just playing with the figures. And then as I got older, I came across Games Workshop, as most people did, and I got a copy of the 6th edition starter set, which came with some Orcs and Empire, and again I've still got some of them, which obviously these I think were the Orcs that came with it, and some of the Empire stuff. These have all since been repainted since when I first painted them. A bit blurry. I think I did them the red and black or something that I think was close to what they were on the artwork. And again, I play with that more as a kid than as wargaming, and it was the same for quite a few years. I dabbled in 40k as I went through my younger years, 40k and other Warhammer, and then when Lord of the Rings Warhammer came out, I used to get the subscription that they did a Lord of the Rings, I think every month, or you got a couple of copies, and I did that for a little while and then had to stop because it was too expensive at the time. It was my mum who paid for it, so it stopped for a little while, and then I picked it back up again about issue 30 or something, and again stayed with that until it again got a bit too expensive and fell out of interest with it. But my uncle or my cousin, I didn't realise, but when he was a kid he used to collect Warhammer, and he said, oh well, that I could have his old Orcs, and I didn't realise how old they were. Obviously these were his. I think there was a good 100 or so of them. I think this guy's got a name like Gazgol or something like that, and then just a standard Orc, and then there was a few other Orcs like these, and I think it's a Killer Can or a Killer Dread or something like that. I've still got them. Again, they're in my son's toys, and he plays with them, drags me to come and play with him sometimes. And yeah, it was that, and then I kind of drifted away from gaming as I got older, and then I got back into it after university, I think it was. I started looking at some Games Workshop again, some fantasy stuff, and I started with some Chaos Warriors. There was a game called what was it, Warhammer Battle March or something, that was on the Xbox, and they did a really cool cutscene with the Chaos Warriors in that, and it made me want to start buying some of them. So I did a regiment of them, or a unit, whatever they are in fantasy, or were, and they came up pretty cool, and started doing some lizard men, and then fell into some Tau. I find that if I start something, I start to steamroll, and then I find myself looking online all the time and always buying something new or looking at something new. And then I came across historical when I was little, and I've always been into history. So when I was little, and my mum used to do English Civil War reenactment, So when I was born into English Civil War reenactment, and I did that for a long time until I was young, or until I was a lot older, but still young. And I came across Warlord Games Pike and Shot, and I fell in love straight away. Fell in love with it and bought loads of stuff. And this is about 6 or 7 years ago now. I bought a regiment of pike and shot, and a commander and a cannon. And I fell in love with Warlord Games, to be fair, and I ended up buying loads of pike and shot stuff, and then got bored of that. Started the Romans. Big mistake. Didn't like the Romans in the end. The Imperial Romans, that is. And then I always saw the bolt action stuff in the background and always thought, no, that doesn't look good to me. And then I came across the game, and really the game, and what with Pike and Shot and Hell Caesar, is where I started getting into the gaming, because I'd never understood the rules for most of the games. Being dyslexic, I always find it hard to read the rules, so I never really got into it. I did do some 40k wargaming in secondary school. I had a Tyrannid army, and I did a bit then, and then as I got older I got interested into something else, and kind of the toys went away. Well, you call them toys, my missus calls them toys. And yeah, so getting back into Hail Caesar and Pike and Shot and bolt action, I AM A Wallet hit it hard, so I ended up buying a lot, and still do. Not so much now. I'm trying to be a little bit more cautious, but when I see some of the videos that you gents do, like Martin does the Wars of the Roses, and he's the reason why I've started doing Wars of the Roses, and the Black Sea stuff, when that came out and I see all the guys doing it, I had to start doing that. So really, I think we're all a bad influence on each other, because we all end up seeing something that we've not seen before, or think, oh, that looks good, I'll have a go at that. So yeah, and now pretty much up to date now, which is why I've started doing the channel as well, is because I love doing the hobby, the painting as well as the wargaming, and it's nice to be able to put things up and not only just get responses from your friends, but also just showing things that you've done, and getting feedback, getting ideas. It's quite nice to do as well, giving feedback as well, and it's a really brilliant hobby to get into. My missus hates it, to be fair. She, I'm playing with dolls and things like that, but that's down to her. And to be fair, I don't know about the rest of you lot, whether or not you have told, or anyone at your work knows that you do. I mean, if anyone at my work knew about it, I'm an electrician, so I'm on site, and it's always a bit of geezer sort of stuff. So I don't really tell anyone on site that I wargame, because I feel like I'd get ripped to shreds. But I'm not embarrassed by it. It's just picking your battles, I suppose. But it's such a brilliant hobby to do. I find that when you've had a hard day or a hard week, it's something that to wind down with. You haven't got the stress of, I know a lot of you fellas like sport. I'm not a big fan on sport. But you haven't got, it's not intense. It's, other than when you're playing a game, it can get quite intense, but just the painting and the making and all of that, it's just calming, just to sit down and kind of blank out the rest of the world, forget the rest of your worries, and just focus on whatever it is you're making and painting. It's just a great little thing to do. So I really enjoy it, and anyone who was thinking about getting into it would, I can't say anything other than have a go. So the next question was, where do I see my channel in 5 years? To be honest, I haven't been doing it for long, mainly since obviously what with lockdown is when I first started doing the channel, and thanks to certain people the channel was boosted, what with certain people recommending my channel and stuff. So even just, still having a channel and still wanting to do the channel in 5 years would be brilliant, because I enjoy doing it. I don't feel a pressure to do it, and that's something I don't really want to feel. I don't want to have it as a job. It's nice to have it as a hobby and just be able to show off your stuff. So if in a couple of years time, you know, the channel's bigger, couple of thousand people maybe watching it, you know, even if it brought in a bit of revenue on the side, I wouldn't complain, but I would never make it my ambition. You know, I wouldn't want to feel I had to do stuff, because then it takes away the fun. You're constantly thinking, oh, I better get this done, and then you don't get to enjoy it. And I think also a lot of the time people would find it hard to find the time to find the fun in it, find the time to game, if it wasn't something like a hobby, and you'd find yourself doing things you didn't want to do because you thought other people wanted to do it. So even if just in a couple of years time I've got a couple more, maybe even a couple of hundred more subscribers and people, then yeah, I mean, since I've been doing it, I've made quite a few what I'd consider friends. I've not even been doing it long and I'd consider them friends. So even just to still have the friends that I've got now from it, and maybe find some more people or be friends with more people, then that'd be fine. I mean, I'd love to do some more battle reports with some friends and maybe even some of the guys from the channels. That'd be brilliant one day to be able to do that. So maybe that. I'd love to put some battle reports and play with some of you lot. Maybe that's what I'd like over the next 5 years. And what advice would I give to people looking to start a channel? To be fair, I don't know if I could give the advice, because most of the people that have helped me along have been people who have had other channels. So just, I suppose, be yourself and be friendly with other YouTubers, and then if you make good content, they'll find you and you should flourish. To be fair, I mean, you don't need to spend lots of money on lots of gadgetry. I know a lot of people like to buy cameras and get special editing software and stuff like that. I'm using my phone, and I just use I think it's YouCut videos or something like that, and it was recommended to me from YouTube. That's all I use, and obviously I'm no Spielberg, but I get by, and I think the channel's doing well. It's ticking along, and you don't need to spend lots of money on it. When I first started doing the video, the little bit at the start, the intro, you know, you can get a high quality version for that for a bit of money, but the one on here was free. It might be of a lower quality, but it was free. So don't go out of your way to spend loads of money to begin with. If your channel starts getting bigger and you want to spend more, go for it. If that's something you want to do, but you don't need to begin with. To be fair, I'm only little now. I might need to later on. You guys might start getting bored of me content, so I'll have to start finding ways to improve it. But it's not needed, really. Just go for it. Have a bit of fun with it. You do what you want. Don't feel a pressure that you're doing stuff that you think other people want to see. Because if you're doing that, then it's not fun for you anymore. But yeah. So the final part is, obviously I've now got to nominate 3 other people. Now my first nomination is for Phil from Wargamers Anonymous. If it wasn't for him, to be fair, he might have already been nominated, but if it wasn't for him, half of you probably wouldn't be subscribed to me now. To be fair, he gave me a shout out right at the start. I think I had about 5 subscribers, and overnight it went up to about 20. So a lot of thanks to him. And obviously he's doing the Wargamers Anonymous monthly challenge. And again, it's since doing that, my channel's grown as well from putting things up for that. And he seems like a really nice bloke, and I'd love to know more about where his hobby started and a bit more about him. My second one is Paul Richardson. His channel is called Paul Richardson, and again, some great content that comes off of his channel, and he seems again like a really decent bloke. And again, I'd love to know some more. And my final one is Randolph McGee. He's new to the Wargamers anonymous painting challenge. And again, some really great content. I don't know how he manages to paint so much as quick as he does. His painting table's always covered in figures, and there's always a new video up nearly every day of something he's painted. And again, it's some great quality stuff. So check out all their channels. I'll leave their links in the description, and it's over to you three. Cheers for now.